Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Overhauled with the Diesel Queen. I am here today with Louise. I have known her on social media for a very long time. She turned wrenches for about 8 years, and now she spends all of her time on social media, life coaching, and helping out other women that are wanting to get in the trades, that are in the trades. She's a badass. Louise, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of explain a little bit more in depth what you do and where you started from and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we've been connected for quite a while back and forward on the gram. So it's finally good to be in person and talking to you. So I started my apprenticeship and started working as a mechanic when I was 15, straight out of high school. I was like, school is not for me. I want to work with my hands. And
Yeah.
that's it. I was like, nah, this sitting at a desk thing is just not fun at all. Even though that's what I do now, but it's a full circle kind of thing.
I feel that.
Yeah. So I was like, at the time, because I grew up on a farm and I was always working with my hands, helping my mum and dad on the farm. And I was like, cool, I need to decide what I want to do if I want to leave school. So I decided I'd go on the path of a mechanic. And I did work experience while I was at school. So just free work trials in my school holidays. I did a few of those. So one of the ones that I did that was really memorable was I did 2 days work experience and they offered me like a job working on the weekends. So I was there and they were like, oh, Louise, just let us check all your bolts if they're tight after you do anything because we don't know if you're strong enough to make sure everything's tight. And I was like, none of this, this is not going to be an ongoing thing. So I put all my effort into tightening these bolts. And we were working on lawnmowers and whippersnippers, so small engines.
Oh,
So the bolts aren't that big anyway, compared to what we do now. And
yeah.
I started snapping bolts because I was like, none of this, I'm not doing it tight enough. And the boys were like,
Yep.
okay, Liz, calm down. You're strong enough now. So I was like, okay, thank you.
I feel that.
Yeah. But then I was like, yeah, I didn't really want to work on lawnmowers and whippersnippers and stuff. So I was still looking for an apprenticeship to get into either motorbikes or anything else. So I was at a careers expo and I met Sarah. So Sarah at the time was the same height as me. She was the same build as me. And she was doing her first year of her heavy vehicle apprenticeship. So she encouraged me to do work experience at her work. I did. I loved it. I loved being like, oh my God, this big truck. And I know how it works. I know how to fix it. So that was the original feeling of awe that I could fix these big trucks. So I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I applied for a job there and I got the apprenticeship there. I started there when I was 15. So I was still a very young person and a young female in the industry. I did my apprenticeship there, so 4 years, qualified when I was 19. And in that time, I, went through the usual harassment, sexual harassment, isolation, being a teenager, trying to work out who the hell you are, and then adding the confusion of being a girl in a male-dominated trade while I was doing that. So I got a straight off the path, got myself in trouble trying to fit in, then worked out that that was not exactly what I wanted to be like. And then, well, I almost got sacked actually for just getting caught up in all the bullshit that the boys do. And I was like, I want to be like the cool kids. And then, yeah. And then I ended up, almost getting sacked. So I pulled my head in. And I'm so glad I got that almost second chance to go through, not get caught up in all the crap. So I did that. I competed in the world skills competition. So it's like the Olympics for tradies.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. It's run in all countries. So USA, so America actually has a team, which is pretty cool. And I competed regionally, nationally, and internationally. So nationally, I was the first girl to compete in the heavy vehicle competition. Then I was the first girl to win. And then I went on and competed internationally. And I come fourth internationally out of 16 countries. So that's
freaking awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It really and I had one of the guys, I think it was the German judge, so the German mentor judge, he was a trade teacher from Germany. And he's like, I've never seen someone being photographed as much as you have, because the competition was like open to the public. And everyone, either someone was always recording me, talking, like looking at me, taking photos, and everyone was just like, what the hell? So
did you get stared at in the shop a lot by customers?
Yeah.
Right, because the guys get used to you, right? The guys you work with get used to you being there, and they're like, whatever. But I distinctly remember the first shop I worked in down in Denver, like there would be people. My boss put me, they called it in the fish tank, because the office was in the middle of the shop and there's big windows in the front of the office. And they put me in that bay right in front of the office. Like, because I was just starting, right? That was in the same boat you were. Like, I was a little bit older, like I was 19, like hardly 19, and just started in it, and I was trying to figure my shit out. They put me in this fishbowl, and the customers, the first time they saw me, they would walk up to the window and they'd like stick their face to the window and sit there and stare, to the point where my bosses would have to come up and be like, dude, get the fuck out of my shop, right? Like, you're not here for this. If you want to talk about your piece of equipment, that's fine. If you want to look at parts, that's fine. You want to go over your quote, don't fucking stare at my technician. So I was just curious, because like, it's not even, everybody thinks it's the guys you work with that it's not. It's the truck drivers, it's the customers, especially truck drivers. Like, I mean, in your case, this is one and the same. In my case, those were two different entities, but still.
Yeah, we
so
had in our
you're
shop,
good.
Yeah, in the shop where I did my apprenticeship, there was like, it was just a whole length of bays. I think there was like 14 bays in a row. So the first 2 bays, the customers could like see pretty clearly. And the supervisors worked out pretty quick that it was like, the customers would stare at us like so much that it would make the boys uncomfortable. Like, so the supervisors would never put like us in those first 2 bays, because it was just like,
it's horrible, right? Like, you don't want to get stared at while you're working. And like you said, some customers do it to the guys too, because they want to see what you're doing. And it's like, no, please don't.
Yeah.
Like, some customers are cool, right? Some customers, you walk up and be like, yeah, this is what's wrong with your tractor. And they like want to know about it, and they're looking at it. And then there's a creepy one that just sit there and stare and don't say anything, just stare. It's like, dude, go.
That's it. And I remember like going to like technical college, so like we call it TAFE over here, so trade school. And I remember the first time I walked into a classroom, there was like all the boys were like chatting and laughing, and I just like step in, and it's just like dead silent.
Silent.
Like, could hear a pin drop, and everyone's just like looking at me, and I'm like, it makes you like, the way that they look at you, it's like very animalistic kind of thing, and you're like, don't look at me. Stop it.
So my experience is, it happened in school a little bit, but every new shop I worked at, everybody was scared to death of me for at least 2 weeks. At least, right? Because they're like, I don't want to say anything wrong. I don't want to look at her wrong. They would literally like force themselves to like not look at me, even if it would have been just like the natural direction they're looking, right? To like look around the shop, like check out what other people are doing. They like force themselves not to, because they didn't want to get sent to HR, right? So they're like super careful and overly like, don't say anything, don't look at her, don't touch her, don't pretend she doesn't exist, right? And then they realize that my mouth is worse than theirs, and it's pretty hard to offend me. And then we're fine. But the first like week and a half at least is like everybody's like you said, it's so silent, you can hear a pin drop, and everybody's scared to say anything because they don't want to offend you. At least that's my experience.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it kind of, that isolation, like sometimes it's not fun being isolated like that sometimes, especially if you're like, nervous of being in a new area. And especially like the girls that I talk to, because now I mentor and I life coach tradeswomen predominantly, but tradespeople as well. And as a young girl coming into industry as an apprentice, so you're learning on the job, that isolation, it affects you like more than just like socially, because as an apprentice, you got to learn off other technicians, and if they're scared of you, it really puts a barrier in your learning opportunities as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. It's I kind of like the first couple shops I worked in, I was a little offended by it, right? I'm like, man, this sucks and this is shitty. Like you said, it is. It's like an isolation because a shop is kind of like a big daycare is how I like to like explain it. Like it's a bunch of kids playing with toys and machinery and tools, and we all have to like get along like a daycare, right? And if you're not kind of in that, like, we can have fun and joke around and be friends kind of thing with that group of boys or that group of whoever. Honestly, I've only ever worked with one other female mechanic in my time. So usually the group of guys, right? It's kind of sucky. And then I finally, like, after, because I didn't really have an apprenticeship. I went to trade school. They do it a little bit differently here. I wish they did it like that, like you. I wish they did that, but they don't do that here really. I went to trade school, so I immediately skipped over the apprenticeship thing and I started as a level 1. And so I worked in the first 2 shops I worked in, that happened. And then the last couple that I worked in, it still happened, but I kind of walked in there with like the confidence thing. Cause at that point I'd been in at the time I transferred, I didn't quit. I just transferred to a different shop for the 3rd shop so I could work on ag and construction. It wasn't like I hated my job or whatever. It was just I wanted to work on other pieces of equipment and I thought it would be like skyrocketing for my career. So I started in this shop. And at this point, I have finally reached my level in the career where I'm pretty confident, right? I'm pretty confident in my abilities. I'm confident in what I can do. I'm confident that I can get along with people. And it took them 2 days to warm up to me. And what I realized is, like, pretty shortly, is it's kind of, not only does it have a lot to do with the group of guys that you're with, because everyone is different, but it also has a lot to do with the entrant, like the energy that you give off. And guys don't necessarily have to worry about this, right? Because they're guys. But with girls, like, you kind of have to approach it in a confidence level. And it doesn't actually fucking matter how experienced you are or how good you are. If you approach into a shop and you're shy and you're timid, and you don't have your confidence and you're not like, making jokes immediately and like getting into the shit, then like exactly what you said, they're going to kind of alienate you for a little bit and they're going to be scared to talk to you and scared to look at you. But it took me 4 years to figure that out. So it was
the same as me. Like I did that. Like I was like, oh, like I'm like shy and nervous. And when you come in and you're nervous, then when they're a little bit nervous, then it's just like more nervousness. But when you come in with that confidence, then it's like their nervous is like calmed down kind of thing, because it's brought you in. But I become a trade teacher, so I was teaching at a technical college, actually for West Track, which is our Caterpillar dealer in our state. I was teaching for them, and you would have a group of guys for like 1 or 2 days. So you didn't have that 2-day warm-up period. Like you needed to do it in the first 5 minutes. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to teach them. And I learned pretty quickly that if I started like swearing straight off the bat, then that brought it down straight away. Like swearing and a bit of technical and a bit of like, oh yeah, what have you guys been doing on site? Oh yeah, that sounds cool. I did this job once, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Just a bit of that brought those walls down straight away.
Mm-hmm. The F-bomb is a great wall breaker.
Yeah, that's it. You can almost see them like physically relaxed.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, I know that there is negative sexism in the industry. I know that there is. I've not necessarily experienced that personally, but I know it's there, right? But what people, like, what women are scared of are like, what a lot of young women are scared of is walking into a shop and being looked down upon and being like, you're not good enough to be here because you're a woman and blah, blah, blah. And the reality is, at least from my experience, the reality is most of the time, these men want you to be there. they're supportive. They want you to be there. They want to teach you. They want to see you succeed. Your bosses want to see you succeed, but they are scared. They are not alienating you because they hate you. They are not alienating you because they don't like you. They do it because they're literally fucking scared to get sent to HR or offend you because they don't want to offend you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want you to see you mad or see you like, you know, hurt or whatever. So they try really, really, really hard to like make it the best environment they can, which in guys' brains is don't talk to her, don't look at her, don't, you know.
I think everyone's a bit different with that because then they're like their way of like being nice, and a lot of the times it does come off like, oh yeah, they're not talking, but they just really don't know what to do, and like sometimes almost like they really just don't.
True.
Like
That's
they're because guys, like it's almost like if we touch in that space of like hyper masculinity or toxic masculinity, whatever you want to call it, like a lot of guys are taught to either like a woman is their like mum or sister or someone that they're trying to get in with.
Yeah.
Like, and then they're like, how do I work with a woman? No one's ever taught me in my whole life how to work with a woman. So it's like a whole new concept that they're learning, that in their mind, they're like, oh, it's a girl. Shit, she's not my mum, my sister, and I'm not trying to get with her. What? I don't have a program for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they don't want to be nasty. Like most of the men in the industry don't want to be crude and nasty towards you. They might be crude and nasty to the dude next to them for sure, but they're probably not going to do it to you.
Yeah. Like I've had a few, like I would say maybe like 95% amazing experiences, 5% not so amazing. Yeah. But the thing is, like your body fixates on the negative experiences because it's going to try and protect you from that. Like I had this old Russian guy like come up to me and look me dead in the eye and was like, you don't belong here. Like I wouldn't let my wife do this. I wouldn't let my daughters do this. And it was really funny because that happened pretty early on in my career. So I was like fresh. I think I was like 17. I don't think I was 18 yet. And I went to this other workshop to do like diffs and gearboxes because at our workshop we just did engines. So I went there for a few weeks. And this guy that I was working with, he sent me to get some tools. And I happened to walk past this Russian guy, and then he pulled me up and he was lecturing me. And the guy that I was working with was like, is Louise okay? Like, did she get lost? Like, why isn't she back yet? So he come over and this guy was lecturing me, and I was kind of like it was before I had all the comebacks and the confidence. So I'm just standing there. And then this guy comes up. Yeah, this guy comes up behind me. He's known me for like 2 days. And he's like, dude, pull your head in. Like, I've been working with her for 2 days and she's better than half the guys here. Like, lay off her. And it just like was like, yeah, like other guys in the industry have your back. Like there might be a few that aren't that great, but the majority of them really have your back.
Yep. I had recently actually in the very last shop I worked at, I had I've had two experiences. The first experience was in the very first shop, right? That very first shop I worked at where the customers would stare at me and shit like that. I had my lead tech at the time walk into the office, and he's like 6'2", like mechanic muscles dude, who actually ended up being my boss, like 7 years down the road, 5 years down the road, which is kind of cool. But he walked into that office and he was like, you guys need to fucking stop staring at her or I'm gonna fucking kick you out myself. Like, I'm fucking over this. Like, get the fuck out. So, and like, he was a little protective of, like, he didn't like it. He didn't appreciate that. And at the second experience, well, there's like a lot, but the second main experience was a truck driver. Like I said, it's almost never the guys in the shop that I've had an issue with. The truck driver came to pick, or he was dropping off a combine. I think it was a combine. And we had to do a whole bunch of like redneck shit. You've always got to do redneck shit to get combines off of trailers, right? Because they're blocked up with the stupid wood blocks and they don't have tires on them. They don't ship them with tires. That's cool, right? So it's like this whole like experience where you have to pick up like the combine one end at a time and put the tires on, because obviously the truck doesn't raise it tall enough for that. So Anyway, this guy's out there and he's looking at me and he's watching at me and he's looking at me and he tells me, he's like, "You're a mechanic?" And he was Russian, like straight Russian, actually, like straight up Russian dude. And he was like really weirded out by it, but then he was like also hitting on me at the same time. And I'm like, shut that shit down immediately, right? And I guess he told one of the guys later on, he's like, I don't think he's like, she shouldn't be doing this. She should be on a pole, is what they told him. And then he goes on to say, he's like, I think I'm gonna get her number. And the guy, I guess, looks straight at him and he's like, yeah, good luck with that, buddy. I'd love to see you fucking try, because that is not a girl you want to fuck with. But you know, that was the joke of the shop forever, because like he said that, and like 2 or 3 of the guys that heard it started busting out laughing. Are you serious, or is this a joke? Because if you're serious, you might want to think again, because she's gonna beat you with a fucking hammer. Yeah. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's just like the customers and the people who see you one off. Like we talked about, like the boys in the shop generally have that like warm up period to you. But when you think about it, customers and all that kind of stuff, they see you and they're kind of like in that warm up period and they have the weirdest reactions. Like the guys are just like, oh, you're a mechanic. And some of them are like, oh, that's so hot. And you're like, oh, piss off. I'm doing my job.
Yeah, it's like, how is this hot?
Yeah.
It's a job.
I said, like when I had reached my confidence point and I was teaching, I had like my regular apprentices come in. And one of the guys that I had become friends with, he said to me, he's like, does it feel like uncomfortable when like all the boys are like staring at you and you can kind of like, I'm not too much in the chest, but I have a curvy butt and I know that it gets stared at a lot. Let's just go there.
I've had my butt stared at a lot too, but it's kind of whatever. Like, it's like if you were an office lady in an office and you had a nice butt, guess what? The guys in the office are probably going to look at it, right? Girls look at it. We look at each other's ass, right?
That's it. But my mate was like, doesn't it feel weird like having like 14 or 15 guys just staring at you like all day? And I said to him, I said, I've got more options to look at than you do, because I've just got me. And he was like, what? like having it reversed. He just freaked out. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, look at all my options.
Right. Render the men speechless with your cutbacks. And they're like, fuck, I didn't think of that. Damn it.
Yeah. No, I had this one girl this lady come to site, and she was going to chat to me about like doing some career opportunities for local schools or something. And she we walk into the cafeteria because it was a pretty big site. There was like 7 or 8 like fully functioning independent workshops on this site, and we had a cafeteria. So I walk in and she grabs my arm and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, there are so many men. And I'm like, yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Obviously, clearly.
Oh my god, just a little, like, I think we have the negative experiences, but there's so many things that like now we can just laugh at, or that it just they're just like, that happened. I had like in winter, like you're all rugged up with like your big jumpers and your beanies and stuff, and I had this guy like come up to me and he was like got right in my face and he's like, are you a girl? And I was like, yeah, last time I checked, yep.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think so.
Yeah, I'll just take a look.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. It is, because sometimes the guys you meet, like you said, it's not usually the guys in the shop, but the other random guys you meet in the industry, they just blurt out because men have like no filter, right? So they just blurt out the first thing that comes to their mind, and then they're like, fuck, should I have said that? And you're over there like, should I embarrass him and laugh out loud? Yes. Definitely.
Oh god.
I'm gonna make his face turn red, and then he's probably gonna maybe rethink about maybe using that filter that he's supposed to have before he opens his mouth to me.
I had this another instance where the boys at this shop, they were like starting to like pants each other, like grab each other's pants and pull each other's pants down.
Oh god.
And I was working.
Fucking boys.
I know. I'm like, what? How is this funny? But anyway, I was bent over this truck and like I was leaning over the tire doing something. I don't know if I was doing fuel system fault or something. And all I hear is like, stop, that's Louise. Like someone didn't didn't realize it was me, but someone looking over from another truck, and they must have like went to like pants me, and one of the guys, I just hear them yell, like, "Stop! It's Louise!"
They're panicked. They're like, no.
Yeah, and they're just like, what? And I'm like, what? What are you doing? Oh God, just the things, and I think it's it comes. Yeah, go.
Have you seen the TikTok on social media where it's this girl like all bundled up, and it's like the wives are like, she uses the audio like, "Do not sell marijuana to my husband," and then it's like, okay, and instead she puts in the text, she's like, "Do not flirt with my husband." She's like, as tradeswomen, right? And then the wives, right? "Do not flirt with my husband at work." And then she has in this box, he's like, when she says, okay, like, okay, it has like me after I've told her husband to pull his head out of his ass and get to fucking work for the 400th time today. It's like, that is so true, because like once you reach that confidence level, like you kind of get that, especially with the younger apprentice kids and shit, you're like, bro, get your fucking shit together, pull your head out of your ass, and get the fuck to work. And it's so funny because people have this like preconceived notion that women in the industry like want to date all the guys they work with and like, you know, whatever. And it's like, bro, I've just spent all day telling every single one of these motherfuckers to get their fucking head out of their ass and get their fucking shit done, right? Like, I'm a bitch, kind of, sort of. Like, it's funny and I throw jokes in there, but like, I can, like, that is not even, I have never even once considered dating a coworker. Like, the man I dated for a while, we did work in the same shop a couple of times, but we were dating prior to that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do not condone doing that. And it's never been in my interest. I've always viewed my coworkers as like, they're my coworkers. They're my teammates in the shop, or they're on two sides. They're my teammates and we help each other out and we're friends, or I fucking hate them and I don't want to talk to them. I'm gonna make their life a living fucking hell when I can. I'm gonna talk a lot of shit, right? There's two sides to that. So there is not a side for me that says date your coworker. Not a single. No. But that's kind of preconceived notions, people.
Like, people have different opinions of that. Like, I've previously I was working with this guy, and then I left and worked at a different shop, and then we started dating, and then he come and worked at the same shop, so we were working together for a bit. But then I've had like little one-off, like, oh, I could maybe go on a date with this guy. But I think like so many girls, well, as an adult, where do you meet people? Generally at work. Like, yeah. So there's that kind of layer to it as well. And I've had so many girls like go in, first date, second date, whatever, and then the guy was like, and then she's like, oh, no, I don't want to date you. But they work together. So he gets really butthurt and then makes her life miserable at work.
I've always had a boyfriend, though. Like, the guy that I was with previously to the guy I'm with now, I was with him for like 8 years.
Yeah.
So I started dating him before I even entered the industry. I was 16 when I started dating him. So I always had a boyfriend, and it was always like the serious relationship boyfriend. So I never had, I mean, maybe if I was single, I would have had those experiences, but I personally have never had those. I also have a resting bitch face, and people tell me I'm intimidating and unapproachable. So I don't know if that has something to do with it. Yeah. But
I think I don't scared of confidence as well. Like, even just coming in confident, it like puts them off.
Well, the guys that are going to be pussies about it and get mad because you turn them down are not the guys that are going to go after the confident girl. That's for sure.
No, that's it. But everyone has different experiences. Like I said, you haven't experienced that. I've experienced a version of that, but I've had girls like straight up, like one of my girls that I'm working with right now, like that I'm mentoring, she did her week of work experience, so her free work trial, and one of the guys asked her out like from the shop on that work trial, and she said no. Then she started working like a month or two later at the business, so she applied for the job, got the job there, and he like made her life a living hell from day one, like just stupid things like blocking her truck in so she couldn't like take it to the wash bay, like not like distracting the supervisor when she was trying to talk to him, all that kind of stuff. And that was her like first entry, like even before she officially entered the industry, like that was her experience. And I was like,
yeah, that's sad.
This is shit. Like, why? they get so butthurt in their ego. Like, it's
like I said, I've always told women, like, don't date people in the shop you're working, because the last thing you want is for anybody to take away from your success and be like, it's because you're dating so-and-so, or it's because you're sleeping with so-and-so, or it's because of this or that, you know. And I took my career, and like I said, my opinion might be a little biased because I had a boyfriend all the way through my entire career. But it's, to me, I want to be like, I was super worried and anal about, like, I want to be taken seriously. I want to be the top of the shop. I want to be like, I want to earn my shit, right? I don't want to be handed anything because I'm a girl. I don't want to be handed anything. I want to earn my shit. You know, I want to earn it just about, you know, just the same as the guys earn it. And that mentality kind of like evolved into my theory of, if I were single, I would still not date a coworker.
Yeah.
Because there's just, I mean, I don't condone that in any industry, but you know, that's something I always tell girls is like, I know you're around a bunch of guys, and if you're single or whatever, it can be hard to like not have feelings for one of them. I could see that. I could see why you feel that way. But don't date your coworker.
Yeah.
Like that's my personal opinion. I do think it's different if you leave a shop and then date someone from your previous shop and then they come and work with you. I think that's different. That's completely different than, like, you know, the last thing you want is like, because guys suck, right? A girl sleeps with one guy and she's a hoe, but a guy can sleep with like 8 girls and he's like a champion. So I just, like, when I went to Wyotech, I pretended I was married to the guy I was with, which was the same dude I was with for like 8 years. So I pretended I was married. I wore a ring and everything. And I actually got called a Mormon because I didn't sleep with anybody in school. It's like, guys, I'm in a fucking long-term relationship. I'm pretending I'm married. Like, why would I fucking sleep with anybody here? But they just thought it was so weird and they called me Mormon. It's like, what? So I'd be a hoe, right? If I did sleep with one of you, but now I'm Mormon, right? And I'm not even religious. So whatever. Yeah. That's guys for you. But you know what? You can always tell the aura of a shop. There's some shops that have a lot more mature personalities in it. And that's what I prefer, is the mature personalities, the men that are not 17 years old, 18 years old. Like, I cannot handle guys in their early 20s or younger.
Yeah, they're kind of going through that phase where it's just like, let's try every option out there. Let's attempt to try every option out there.
Right.
But it's like, it's that double standards as well. It's like, and then like you're saying, like, you can't win. You do or you don't, they're going to say something.
Yeah, that's why I just like push to earn my respect through my work and through showing up and being a good employee. And I just leave it at that. I'm pretty good at letting shit roll off my shoulders. You know, I've been pretty good at that. So I had a rough high school where people hated me and shit like that. So I learned pretty early on how to like not give a fuck what people think, except for the people that actually matter, which is the person signing your paycheck.
That's it.
And even then, you know, if you don't respect me, I don't care if you sign my paycheck. You're going to fucking hear about it.
Yeah, it's like illegal. Then it comes into legally, things like that. And like, I think from the distance, like, because we've been connected on social media for so long, like, it's good to hear that you've had a really good experience on the tools, because I know people say a lot of shit in your comments on your posts.
Oh my God.
You read them and I'm like,
oh my God,
people are awful. What the hell?
That's keyboard warriors. None of these people would ever have the balls to say anything to my fucking face. And that's something that you said you wanted to cover. So let's kind of dive into the social media side of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's dive right headfirst into that.
Yeah, that's it. So like a lot of my content on social media is like tips and tricks for tradeswomen in the industry, like overcoming like all the things that we've talked about, navigating these situations, building confidence, all that kind of stuff. So I don't really put too much on of me working, but it gives me so much anxiety to record me working on a machine and then putting it up, because people, like, you think, like, oh, someone's going to attack me for not having my safety glasses on.
Dude, the safety glass Nazis. Oh my God. I was driving crazy.
Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, you're wearing gloves, or you're a pussy, or you've got, like, you should have gloves on, or you've got your ring on, you've got a jewelry, you've got your hair out. Like,
yeah. Your hair is too long.
Yeah. I'm like, my thing, because are you connected with Mini Truck Mummy?
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. She has the full extensions and everything, and she has like her own garage shop, and she gets a lot of shit.
Girl with the pink hair.
Yeah, pink or purple hair.
Yeah, she's actually in Indiana, I think, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know he's like all over in America, and I'm just like, I have no concept of where anything is over there.
I think she lives very close to me. I think, but she does not follow me, so I can't like connect with her.
Her account keeps getting deleted.
Yeah, she fucking. I've seen a lot of her shit, and a lot of people talk shit because she wears eyeliner, and I had extensions, right? Like the hair extensions and nails. I personally, even if I don't work in the industry, I can't do shit with nails. My nails break. I just can't maintain nails. I've never been able to. But I had hair extensions. I had blonde hair extensions down to my ass for years. And it didn't affect my work. I've worn makeup every single day, pretty much, to work, almost every single day. And the days I did not wear makeup were the days I had eyelash extensions.
Yeah. I think it's just like that. It doesn't affect anyway. Like,
no, it doesn't fucking affect my IQ.
I know, like if I wear eyeliner and work and I sweat, my eyes swell up. So I don't wear eyeliner because of that. But I've had we actually did a thing for some schools and like getting women into trade, and one of the questions the girls asked is like, can I like wear makeup? And it's like, it's not a rule, it's a comfort thing. Like, you can wear makeup if you want to. You can have your nails done. Like me, like I've got my nails done pretty much like they're long because I moved house and I couldn't find my nail clippers, let's be honest. But I have my nails short. But I know girls that have like the acrylic nails on and they use them like a flat blade screwdriver. Like everyone's different. As long as you can do your job, it doesn't matter if you've got makeup on, nails on. For me, it's like, are you safe? Like, okay, you have hair extensions, but are they at risk of getting ripped out? If not, then do whatever you want.
Can you do your job efficiently in a timely manner and do it well? And like you said, safety. And that's like, people would always get on me because like my hair, and what people didn't see is when I actually work on stuff, like all they see, like you said, all they see is a social media post. But there's certain things like if I'm on a creeper, my hair was long enough, I twisted it and tucked it underneath my bra strap. That's the safest fucking place for it. Like all my hair is in my shirt. Like, or it's in a bun, or like, obviously I spent like $5,000 on my freaking hair. I'm not gonna fucking burn it off. I'm not getting stuck in a creeper. Like, we're not stupid. Right? And makeup is never, for me, makeup's always been a confidence thing. You know, I feel confident when I wear makeup. I feel more confident. Therefore, I work better. And, you know, more power to the girls that don't care and don't want to wear makeup. Go for it. It doesn't fucking bother me any. Just don't come at me for wearing makeup.
And I think like now that we're in the confidence side and we've gone through all of our discovery phase, like for all the girls that are like in their discovery phase, like literally if a guy is commenting on whether you do or don't wear makeup, like in my mind now, what I tell girls as well is like, they literally have nothing better to talk about other than if you're not wearing makeup or if you are wearing makeup. Like,
they're just keyboard warriors too. Like, I've never once had anybody, my hair is fucking disaster. I've never once had anybody actually in the industry that I worked with comment on what I looked like or wearing makeup or anything like that. It's always the freaking keyboard warriors. And it's like, whatever, you know, and some, honestly, I've gotten more hate from women about the makeup thing than guys. Like, women are freaking brutal, and sometimes most of the time it's not even women that are in the industry. So they're like, you're just sexualizing it and you're just wearing makeup for attention and you just get dolled up to work on stuff for attention and for views. I had somebody with the audacity tell me that I wear makeup and get dressed up to work on things for views. It's like, you realize that 10-second video took up like 5 minutes of my day in 10 hours and you think I did it for the views. Okay, whatever. Right. At that point, you just be like, whatever. But she's a woman that, you know, worked in the industry. I think she failed out somehow. I don't know. But it's like, what I've learned is that people that are good mechanics, that are confident in themselves and confident in their work, man or woman, don't fucking judge you for what you do. It's the people that suck at their jobs or have problems or are not confident in their work that have to tear other people down, right? It's the same thing with the fitness industry. You're never going to get shit on by somebody that's in shape or somebody that works out really hard. You're never going to get shit on by those people. You're only going to get shit on by the people that are jealous of your progress. And like, social media is toxic as shit. But unfortunately, it's a necessity for most people.
Yeah, that's it. And it's really opened up the community of tradeswomen for me. Like you said on site, you're usually the only girl there. So when you start exploring social media, you can connect with other women that are in trades and are mechanics and that kind of thing. So I really try and focus on the good side. And I really I worked with a coach I still am working for a coach, but I got a bit butthurt by a few things that girls have said. Like, girls have said things like, oh, why would you be mentoring like women with that opinion? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, rightio. And like, that really cut deep at that time. And my coach was like, just block her and delete her. Like, you don't have to. Like, just block and delete. Like, you can do that. As much as
you have people doing that, if you have people doing that to you, you're doing something right.
Yeah, that's it. And putting it out there, like, it's your choice to put things on social media. So yeah, like, you can get the backlash, but really, like you said, the keyboard warriors, the people who say shit to you, they either don't matter, they're sad, pathetic, they're upset with their own lives, they want to bring you down. Like, the people who give you shit, usually, like, their opinions don't actually matter in your career. If you like, because I know a lot of girls are like, oh, if this person doesn't like me, then what is it going to affect my progress in the shop? And it's like, no, are they your supervisor, manager, or do you actually respect them technically at all? If none of those things, they don't actually matter.
I worked with a couple guys that hated me. I worked with an older gentleman that, well, I don't want to call him a gentleman because he was one of the most gross men I've ever met. And not in like, I don't like to judge people physically, but this man was disgusting. But it was unprofessional, right? There's a level, right, to where you need to be professional and sort of a clean person, but like showering, not like not getting dirty at work, like take a shower at least once a week would be nice kind of thing. But you know, this guy was not very good at his job. And that was the problem with this man, because I came in and this was the second shop I worked in, and it was an ag only shop, but they had construction equipment that came in too every now and then, because there was no John Deere construction presence in Cheyenne, Wyoming at the time. And I got along great with my boss. I got along great with the store manager, got along great with a lot of the technicians. I actually helped train a couple of the other technicians that wanted to move from the lawnmower side to the heavy equipment side. But this particular person was always shitty at me. And he was shitty because I had experience in construction, 2 years at that point, almost 3. And the boss started giving me all the construction work, all of it, and not the other guy. And then he got pissed off at me, and he was constantly being shitty at me. But he would do things like he wouldn't put the boom lock up. He wouldn't, so the boom would drift down and crush on the cab. He did that one time on a skid steer. He screwed up a backhoe transmission, like majorly screwed it up. So he was like, everybody fucks up, but this guy was fucking up everything he touched. And he was misdiagnosing everything, and he was just not a great mechanic. And he hated me. I also had another mechanic and a couple of other shops that have disliked me. But like you said, if this is going to sound really bad, but if they are not feeding you, fucking you, or financing you, their opinion does not fucking matter.
Yeah.
And even then, those people are kind of borderline if their opinion matters or not.
Even though like their opinion matters, you can choose who those people are. Like you can change workshops, you can change workplaces, you can dump partners, like all those things are interchangeable as well. But yeah, it's your choice. Like I had a manager tell me once, he's like, do you a manager above him gave me some feedback and I was not happy with it. And he's like, my manager was like, do you respect him? Do you want to be like him? And I'm like, no. And he's like, don't take that feedback on board. Like if he doesn't have anything you want, then just ride that feedback off totally and don't even listen to it.
Yep.
That's it.
I feel that. Well, and that's what people, like you said, you can change shops. And that's what I always tell girls is like, don't fucking worry about sexism or about getting treated shitty. Because in this industry, in this point in time, right now, you can have a job at another shop yesterday. There is no reason you have to stay anywhere because every shop is going to invest in training. Every shop is going to invest in teaching you. Every shop is going to give you hours because they are so desperate for mechanics. So it doesn't even matter what you did at the previous job or what other people have done to you. Somebody's going to hire you and give you a chance. So it's not worth putting up with bullshit. It is not. You know,
and each shop is so different. Like I know a lot of girls who do like one or two shops and they have a bad run and they're like, oh, the industry. I'm like, no. Like you just haven't found your shop yet. And that is totally fine. That's what happens to the boys as well. Like some people, you just don't mesh with some people. Like, you know, some workshops, like you said before, like you can go in and you can feel the vibe and sometimes places just feel awful. Get out of there straight away if that happens. But like, it's fine. Like you'll walk into the shop that feels amazing and you'll feel great every day that you come there and you'll be respected. Like you'll find that shop.
I agree completely.
Yes.
So what's kind of been yes. So you do life coaching for women in the trades.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you like? Do they pay you? Do you take them in like one-on-one? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one like mentoring coaching with tradeswomen. So the girls can either like purchase it directly off me. Businesses can purchase it for their girls. So if a business is taking on like their first tradeswoman into the industry and they want to support her. And then I do a scholarship as well, where businesses that want to like support tradeswomen in an industry in total, they can do a scholarship program and the girls can get the coaching from me for free. So pretty much what I do in the coaching is like all these lessons and the confidence that we've built up over 7-8 years in the industry. It's almost like a fast track to that confidence kind of thing. I want to get them that confidence and those skills pretty much straight off the bat, so they don't have to go through all the crap that we went through.
Yeah, we're giving them the mental tools to succeed faster than we did. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. That's really cool. I wish I would have thought of that. That's awesome.
You still can. There's so many people out there that need help. Like I think like in the industry of like supporting others, like there's always going to be work for that.
I never thought about like making it as a means of making money though, which is very interesting because like I see it all the time. I have over 1 million followers between all of my platforms, and I get messages from young women all the time that either go into message requests and I never see them, or if I do see them, it's like 4 weeks old, you know, or I just don't have time to respond to all of them. But you've managed to make a way to where it's like, this is what I do. I seek these women out, or they seek me out. I can help them. And it's a means of, you know, making a living from it. And that's a pretty smart way to do that, because there are a lot of women that are looking for a mentor or help or advice or somebody that has been in their situation to listen to them. right? Because they can't just go to the guys, be like, oh my God, this is horrible. Well, some guys you can, because some guys get it. But for the most part, you know, they want to go to a woman and be like, hey, yeah, I've got a young girl that's 17 that was on my first episode, on the second episode on this. And she actually came to see me in person when I worked in Wyoming to talk to me about being in the industry and talk to me about, you know, wanting to be a mechanic. And it's awesome, right? Because she's like a little mini me. She's like a 17-year-old Melissa, only she's got more like the confidence attitude than I had. And I'm like, I told her, use that, keep that, don't. And she's like, I'm worried about fucking up, and I'm worried about not being good enough, and I'm worried about, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, for the first 2 years, you're going to feel like a fucking failure. Okay. Like, you're going to fuck up everything you touch. You're going to misdiagnose shit. You're not going to know shit. You're going to feel like you're asking for way too much help all the time. Don't fucking worry about it. Use everything and look at everything as a learning opportunity and way to be better, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's it. I like to say, like, the first year at least is like being dunked by a wave at the beach. Like, you're just getting hit from all angles, but then you start to find your feet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And nothing is going wrong if that's happening.
Yeah, and if you're not doing that and you're not fucking shit up and you're not having a hard time, you're either not pushing yourself to try hard enough and challenge yourself, or you're lying.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody knows the mechanic that's like, I never fucked anything up. It's like, bro, we just watched you fuck something up yesterday, but you won't admit it. Okay, like, come on.
Yeah.
But if you have that mentality where you're like, I'm just too good and I don't fuck anything up, and I'm just like, God, you're never gonna learn anything.
That's it. You're too busy pretending that you know to then learn. Like, that's something that I teach like all my girls as well. It's like, it's okay not to know, because if you admit that you don't know, then you can learn it.
Exactly. I agree completely. There is something to what I was taught when I first entered this industry, is use the resources you have to the best of your ability before you go and ask for help. But don't be scared of asking for help. If you've been sitting there going through the manual and don't understand, and you're looking at this machine and you've been trying your ideas on how to fix it or get it apart or diagnose it, and you've been sitting there and you're trying, but you are just at a mental fucking roadblock, because it happens, especially with diagnostics. It happens, right? You dive yourself so far down into this rabbit hole that you are so fucking far away from where you need to be. All it takes sometimes is a second pair of eyes or a second mind to be like, hey, did you try this? And you're like, fuck, I didn't even think of that.
Like, you go into a void, and then it's like you need someone to pull you out of like the troubleshooting void and be like, come on, let's look at it from a different angle.
Yeah. But you need that. People are there to work as a team. Just don't be the person that's like, doesn't even try to do it themselves, right? Doesn't even try. And then walks around the shop. I had a kid, I've said this a couple of times on this podcast. I worked with a kid that, I call him kid, but he was literally the same age as me. Walk around the shop, he would have a problem and he would like not even look at it. And he would walk around the shop and ask everybody the same question. And the person that gave him the question that he thought was the easiest to do, or the answer that was easiest to do, or was most easily given to him, is the one he rolled with. Yeah. Like, don't be that person, right? At least try to figure it out and try to do your shit. You know, use your resources, use your manuals, use that shit. But people in the shop are also a resource. So
I like to, like, you know, I teach it in like 3 stages. Like, you are like, first up, you're straight up asking questions because you have no idea. But then there's like a second stage where you can be like, no, but not no. So like going to a technician and be like, hey, I think I should do A, B, and C. And then they're just like confirming or denying kind of thing. And then there's the point where you like, no. So it's kind of like levels that you can go up. Like, you can be like, rather than going up to the tradie and being like, or the technician being like, oh, this machine's doing this, what do I do? You could go, hey, this machine's doing this, and I think I should do this, this, and this, but I'm not 100% sure. Can you just like confirm or deny if I'm on the right path?
Or point me in the right direction or something.
Yeah.
Because it takes time. It takes time to learn how to navigate the manuals. It takes time to learn. Like, that's what people think, like, oh, you have all these resources and manuals and everything right at your fingertips. It's like, dude, it takes forever to get comfortable with where everything is and how, even in John Deere, agriculture manuals versus the construction manuals, it's like they're 2 different fucking companies.
Yeah.
Like,
And it's almost like
they're
another leap.
organized differently. Like, it takes time, you know? It fucking takes time to learn how to do all that shit. But I always tell girls, I'm like, don't be fucking scared of asking for help. Because if it's something like pins and bushing, I use this example all the time. You're lining up the pins in the bushings and stuff for, like, let's say you're installing a coupler on an arm, or you're installing a bucket that doesn't have a coupler, right? So you're pinning it directly to the arm and the bucket cylinder H-link. You could do that by yourself. It's going to take you the fuck forever. Mm-hmm. Or you can spend like 5 minutes on it and ask somebody else in the shop to get in the machine and run it for you. So you can watch and line up the pins, and it'll take you like 5 minutes. Because you also got to think it's not just your pride, right? Somebody is paying $130 an hour for you to fucking do this shit. So why would it make sense if, for your pride, that you sat there and did it yourself and it took you 2 hours, or you had somebody run the machine? They're not doing it for you, right? They're not doing it for you. All they're doing is helping you, running the machine. Like, that makes sense. Do that.
But that's it. It's like, and it's a two-way street. Like, the person that you get to run the machine for you while you're doing it will probably come the next day and get you to run a machine for them.
Yep.
And I like
40-year mechanics will ask someone to run the machine for them.
A two-person job is a two-person job, no matter how much experience you have.
Exactly. Exactly.
And another example, like, you know, a lot of times the girls are like, we're told that you're not strong enough, blah, 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 blah. I like to use the example that when I first started my apprenticeship and like my trade, there was a whole heap of bodybuilders that worked there, and they looked like clouds. They were big guys. And they would ask me for help as much as I would ask them. We would like job swap. Mm-hmm. They were like,
"You're small.
Yeah, you're small. Can you please get into that space?" And I'm like, "Awesome. Like, I've got this thing that I need to lift in that this guy squish me. Can you lift it?" And I'll go in that small space. Like, it works both ways.
Yep. Well, being small has a lot of advantages too. Like you said, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked to stick my arm through somewhere, right, to try and get an electrical connector off, or I've been shoved at the fucking auger tubes of a fucking combine because I can fit there, right, and hold the motor up. But like you said, then when you need to break something loose, the dude that can squat 700 pounds and bench like 400 can come over and, you know, break it loose for you. Yeah, sometimes you're like, fuck, I have my whole body weight on that, and you just broke it loose in like 5 seconds. But it's whatever. You'll ask me for help for something else later. Or impacts, you know, cranes, impacts. Be smarter, right? I've done a lot of jobs with a pry bar and ratchet straps.
Yeah.
That a guy could probably just do, right? One of the strong guys could probably just do, but yeah, you just got to be resourceful.
I had a job, like I was holding a breaker bar on a diff nut, on a pinion nut once, and my boss was like outside and he was like stepping on the breaker bar. And you know, like when sometimes something's super tight, like it breaks loose and it makes a big cracking noise. Mm-hmm. So we're doing this, and then there was this big cracking noise, and my boss was like, "Oh, did the nut break loose?" And the head of the breaker bar, it was a 3/4 breaker bar, just snapped. Yeah. And I was like, "No, that was not the nut. It was the breaker bar." And he's like, "Okay, I think we need to take this to someone, and we can't do it ourselves." And I'm like, "Yeah." Yep. Someone who has a bigger rattle gun than we do.
Well, and you got like shit, even at the dealerships that I've worked at. I worked at a dealership that was also a Grove crane dealership, and how they got those piston nuts off on those long crane cylinders was a fucking monkey wrench and a mini excavator. Right? They would literally use a fucking machine, but you know, it's all about being resourceful. You use the tools you have, right? You know, you're a girl. You're not going to be able to, it's actually stupid, even for guys, sometimes to sit there and like, if you're beating something with a hammer and it's like not moving, stop beating it with a hammer, right? Figure out something to make this easier.
Yeah. Like when you're 1 hour into a 1 minute job, then something's gone wrong.
It happens though, right?
It happened to me on the weekend. There's this nut that seized on my dad's tractor, and my dad was like, what's taking you long? I'm like, this should have been off ages ago. Right.
Yeah. Or it's like exhaust work.
Yeah.
Like EGR coolers, EGR tubes, fucking manifolds, turbos. Every single bolt you touch, you pray to the mechanic gods as you're loosening it, that it actually just loosens and it doesn't just break.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot.
Yes.
So if people want to, since we're wrapping this up, if people want to like get a hold of you or connect with you, what are your social medias that people can find you at?
So I've got my Instagram, which is Louise Azzopardi Coaching. So my full name coaching. You can just friend me on Facebook, Louise Azzopardi. I'm on LinkedIn as well. It's just my name. And I've actually got a Facebook community for tradeswomen and supporters of tradeswomen as well. And it's called Tradeswomen Owning Their Power. And you can post anonymously in there. There's like heaps of tips and tricks in there. And it's a really supportive community as well.